wonderful dinner.
Absolutely divine with the wine, so enjoy. $25-year-old balsamic vinegar to a good night, successful night. Let's go sit down and chat, kind of figure out the day.
Should we get the strategy session?
Yeah, oh yeah, you got to get the strategy session.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Mary McGuire. I'm here with Chad Sarno, who's going to be cooking a live food feast for me and a few of my friends. Some of them, not only are they not live foodists, but they've never even had an entirely vegetarian feast before.
Thank you. It's quite an honor to be doing this party tonight. We have quite an extensive menu. We have about 7 courses, a couple canapes, past canapes for when people arrive, and I've paired some great organic sustainable wines with the menu also. And I'll bring you through some of the motions as we go through the evening. But you know, for a lot of people, it's very difficult to actually grasp or perceive how to actually cater a party, how to cater at raw foods, and let alone make raw foods for themselves. So it's it's really it really starts off with having the basics of making sure that your cupboards are stocked and your fridge is stocked with the essential items.
Yeah.
The equipment factors, it's definitely an important one, but you can really make use of pretty much any home equipment that you have.
There's nothing in particular, no special.
Well, there's there's definitely some essentials, being a dehydrator, a high-speed blender, a juicer, not a centrifugal juicer, more like a twin gear or a single gear juicer. Then we have a basic food processor. But I mean, like I said, you can get by with any home appliances, being a cheap blender, a cheap food processor.
Yeah.
Really, the only specialty item that you really need is a dehydrator.
Right.
What we're really focusing on is more of a comfort, transitional, recreational raw food dinner. So tonight we're not going to be emphasizing sprouts. We're not going to be emphasizing any kind of green juices or anything, but we are going to be emphasizing and introducing to people some items on the menu that people are used to. Like we have a couple canapes. I'm making little rye hemp toasts, and we're making little mini pizzettes out of a flax hemp crust, and I mean, it's going to be fantastic. So it's all about when you're trying to introduce this to someone more mainstream, it's really all about introducing it in a way that people are used to and what people are familiar with, and kind of not straying too much out of everyone's comfort zone when it comes to serving a meal.
How important really is it that an ingredient be organic?
I think especially nowadays with the rise of GMO foods in the United States, I think it's really essential to emphasize as much organic as possible. And also with the main emphasis, not just organic, but as much locally grown product as you can possibly find, and knowing your food source. Organics is essential, like I mentioned, nowadays with the rise of GMO use and with the rise of pesticide use and herbicide use within this country alone. When it comes to just a little bit about GMOs right now, what we're facing is there's actually a lot of genetically modified foods that we're eating, frankenfoods I like to call them, that basically a lot of the vegetables out there conventional aren't even vegetarian. For example, like a lot of hothouse non-organic commercial tomatoes, where they're basically taking a pig gene and a tomato gene, mixing them together, and so the skin stays tough during shipping. Which isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
Real?
And same with strawberries. They're taking a strawberry gene and taking a salmon gene and sort of combining them and growing basically these salmon strawberries that they're pink on the inside, so they're not white anymore on the inside.
That's amazing.
Isn't that just?
That's
it's ridiculous. It really
I've never
is.
heard that before.
So if you really, avoiding GMOs is really all about supporting the organic industry and really supporting as much locally grown product as possible, and knowing your food source is really what it comes down to. So on the menu this evening, we have a couple canapes we're going to be serving. We have about a 7-course meal with some canapes and hors d'oeuvres to start, and I've paired some organic wines to match to kind of suit the occasion and kind of put it over the edge. We have some of the canapes, for example. We have like a little rye toast with, it's like an almond rye toast with what do you got? We got a cashew mascarpone on there with a little bit of cranberry. Another one, we have some hemp pizzettes that I got on the menu, which is I have some cured tomato on there and some fresh herbs and micro basil and all that. So I mean that's just the start, and then we'll get into a really wonderful evening. I think.
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Just even looking at the menu, it's going to floor people.
Yeah, I think we'll have a lot of fun with it, and like I said, I think we may have some converts tonight. So
what do we need to start with?
Well, there's definitely some basics when it comes to dry goods and non-produce, and is definitely a high quality oil or oils, I should say. Olive oil being my favorite. Definitely high quality stone crushed organic olive oil on hand. I really like having flax oil on hand, along with some grapeseed oil or macadamia nut oil. Just to have some exotic oils of your choice, and then you want to hit more of the acid side of things, so you definitely want to have some vinegars around, maybe some apple cider vinegar, and seaweed's a big one too. I mean, seaweed's great to stock your pantry with, and definitely nuts, seeds. Produce is the most important, and for myself, I really prefer hand picking my produce for my events. There's actually a couple stores right around here if you want to run over there with me and we can go check it out. And how about Fairway is actually right across the street, so let's do it. I think we should go over there.
I'm ready.
Excellent. Check it out. Well, welcome. Here we are at Fairway Market, one of my favorite places to shop in New York City for some fresh organic produce. What we have here, I'm going to basically go down the line right here and show you some of the simple tips in choosing the freshest possible produce, and different ways to prepare the more exotic items that we're usually stumped with. So what we have down here, let's see what we got. I mean, there's an abundance of freshness here. What we have here, let's see, we have some Easter radishes here, which are really nice. These are nice, slightly diced up in salads or julienne in salads. Gives you that nice bite. We have some rutabaga up here. Actually, these are some of my favorite. These are some golden beets, and you can actually, peel this, you spiralize it. There's a nice pasta right there, or you could julienne it, marinate it a little bit, toss that in a salad. That's really nice. Well, what else we have here? Oh, one of my favorites here, some lacinato kale. One of my favorite foods of all time, and the darker the green, the higher in calcium, protein, trace minerals, and all that. So it's really, really nice to choose the darker the better, and especially with kale. There's a couple of varieties of kale here. What we have here, this is a lacinato kale. Next one we have a red Russian kale or a purple Russian kale, and then I don't actually have green kale here, but that's also another variety. Something similar to also in the kale family, we have mustard greens. Now, if you wanted more of that spicy bite in salads, this is really nice to use. I wouldn't use a whole salad with mustard greens just because they're really intense. Yeah, they're really intense. So they're really nice, just a little bit here and there, and dressed up really nicely with a little bit of olive oil, some garlic, a little salt, a little lemon. It's really nice. So what else we got? What do we have here? We have some daikon. Okay, this is actually a Japanese radish. Okay, it's Japanese white radish. It tastes very similar to an Easter radish, the red and white radish over there, the traditional radish that we're used to, but it's actually a little bit sharper. So you can also shave this up, maybe add a little sesame, some ginger, and toss that up in a salad. That's really nice. Maybe some pea pods in there. That's really nice exotic salad. Oh, this is one of my favorite exotic vegetables here. We have kohlrabi. We have a kohlrabi here. This is a purple kohlrabi, and this is actually a green kohlrabi. Now, it's basically in the broccoli family, kale and cabbage family here. And what we'll end up doing with these is I'll end up peeling them, which is really nice. You slice them really thin, just drizzle some nice stone crushed olive oil on there, some cracked pepper, some salt, and you got it made. That's a delicious side salad. Okay, so now when it comes to choosing herbs, now herbs are essential with raw foods. The more fresher the herbs, the better the dish is. Now, a lot of people tend to use a lot of dry herbs and spices. Now, that's all right if you do not have some fresh herbs. What we have here for some herbs, we have some beautiful dill. I mean, it's just gorgeous dill. It's a full-grown dill, really nice in salads, and dill seems really nice with with a little bit of tomatoes, and you can also get some raw pickles that you make and toss that up in a salad with some red onions, and actually make a save the tuna salad. That's basically an almond pate, and I toss in some red onions, some celery, little dill, some pickles, which is absolutely delicious. What else do we have here? We have some nice curly parsley, which is delicious there. We have some flat leaf parsley. Okay, those are really simple. Now the flat leaf parsley is actually more of the Italian parsley, and it's a little bit sweeter than the curly parsley, so it's nicer to use with more bitter items if you were to use it in a salad. What else do we have here? We have some leeks, which is really nice. Now leeks is basically similar to green onions, just an overgrown green onion basically, and it's a little bit sweeter, like I mentioned, than the green onion. And this is really nice, shaved up a little bit if you were going to add it to a salad, but make sure that they're shaved really thin so you don't get that really strong bite of the leek. Okay, going down the line here, what else we got? We have some beautiful golden beets. Now, like I had mentioned before, these are one of my favorites for making pastas with. You can shave these up. You can, you peel it up, you spiralize it, spiral slice it, and that's really delicious. It brings out this vibrant golden color when it's finished also. So, all right, we have some Napa cabbage. Now, here we're getting to the cabbage section. It's really nice when you're making a cabbage salad. Use a whole variety of cabbages. You can use, I tend to use 2 or 3 different types of cabbages. What we have here, which is a Napa cabbage, which is really nice. You can shave that up, it's actually, it's not as dense as the traditional green and red cabbages up here. So if you add a little bit of Napa cabbage in there, a little Savoy cabbage if you wanted, some red cabbage, some green cabbage, you shave it up really nice. That's really nice, more Asian style. So you can add a little bit of sesame seeds, sesame oil, a little bit of olive oil, some ginger, some garlic, a little bit of salt, squeeze a lime, and that's a delicious salad. Okay, so when choosing certain vegetables to be a little creative with in the kitchen, raw food, there's a whole other separate way of technique when it comes to raw food preparation. For example, we have a traditional Italian purple eggplant here, and normally if you were to cook it, it sweetens it up and it basically kills the bitters that are in it. There's a high form of acid in here that you basically need to flush out with salt before you use it if you're going to use it raw. Okay, so what I do when I use eggplant is I'll basically peel the eggplant, I'll slice it the width or the size that I want it, whether it be diced or shaved or just sliced in thin slices, and I'll give it actually a salt bath, and I'll have some salt water, basically some warm water and some nice sea salt in there, and you basically soak the eggplant for anywhere from an hour to 3 hours in the water, and what happens is it releases all that bitter, so after you pour off the water it's almost a dark brown, so it's really incredible how much is actually released. So, and after that's released then you can end up using it in the raw form, which is really nice in a lot of dishes. Now peppers are one of my favorite. It's actually a sweet. I use a lot of sweets with my product and with my dishes and recipes that are it's kind of the most uncommon sweets that people aren't familiar with. And I'm talking sweet vegetables here. And some of them definitely are peppers. We have some gorgeous peppers here. We have some orange, yellow, and red peppers here, bell peppers. And these are also extremely sweet. And one pepper that I do avoid, though, is I avoid green peppers. Basically, green peppers, the reason they're cheap is they're unripe red peppers. Okay, for those of you who don't know that. And so, to avoid a lot of indigestion, I try to avoid a lot of green peppers in my preparation. So, and this is a really unique item, actually. This is a ruby carrot. Well, look at the size of the stems. This is a ruby carrot, which is really nice. It tastes very similar to, a traditional orange carrot, but it's got a little bit more of sweetness flavor to it. These are actually heirloom carrots. Okay, so, and the more heirloom, which is more natural, it's nice to incorporate into your cuisine. What do we got next? We have some nice butter lettuce, which is nice, or butter lettuce, or Boston lettuce they call it, bib lettuce. Also, this is really nice. It's a very delicate lettuce, so if you're going to use a dressing, you want to make sure that you use not that much salt in it. And if you're going to use it as a dressing and toss this, you want to toss it right before you serve it. Otherwise, it's going to wilt to nothing because it's so delicate. And that's really nice with a little bit of shaved fennel. And actually, let's show you the fennel. This is one we didn't cover here. This is one of my favorite Italian pieces of produce. This is a fennel, and what you do with this is really nice, and it's got like an anise licorice type of flavor. For those of you who haven't tried it, now it's absolutely delicious in a fresh, really nice fresh salad. You can take some apples or some mandarin oranges and slice those up really thin. You can take some fennel and slice it also really thin. And that Bibb lettuce that I was just showing you is really nice tossed together also with this. So you have some apples in there, you have some sliced fennel in there, maybe a little bit of lemon zest, squeeze a lemon, some stone crushed olive oil, some salt, toss that up. It's an absolutely delicious little side salad. Actually, one of the dishes that we're going to be, one of the components to one of the dishes that we're going to have this evening for the dinner that we're doing is we're going to have candied fennel as a component for one of the dishes. And so what you do with that also, you can shave fennel, probably about 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I basically soak it in agave and a little bit of salt for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. That softens it up. The salt basically opens the pores of the vegetable and absorbs some of the sweetness. Okay, so what I'll do with that is I'll then put it on a dehydrator sheet and dehydrate them until they're crisp. And that's a really beautiful garnish on there on one of the dishes that we're having this evening. All right, so what we have here, we have a couple of my favorite pieces of produce to work with. We have some mushrooms. Now mushrooms are nice to incorporate in dishes that you're trying to appeal to the masses. Also with meat eaters, they really love the texture and sort of the earthy flavor of mushrooms in dishes. What we have here, we have a couple simple mushrooms that are most common. We have the shiitake mushroom, which is Japanese mushroom. It has a little bit of stronger flavor than any other button mushrooms or field mushrooms or portobellos of that sort. So I like to use it in more Japanese-influenced dishes, more Western dishes. So I'd slice it up real thin, add it as is, or marinate it pre-prep there. Next, what we have some portobello. Now this is one of the most common larger button mushrooms. Now these are also called brown buttons, cremini mushrooms, or baby bella mushrooms. All it is basically a younger version of the portobello. Okay. So, a good way to prepare these is if you were to slice them up real thin, and I use a basic mushroom marinade of equal parts shoyu or tamari and olive oil, maybe a little zest of garlic in there if you'd like. And if you just let that sit for a little while, the shoyu or the tamari that you use is the deep salt that you're using there. That's going to really bring out the earthly flavor of the mushrooms and soften them up also, so they have more of that broiled, cooked flavor there, cooked texture. Okay, so next we have a couple of my favorite spices. We have ginger, we have garlic. This in particular, this is a gorgeous hand of ginger, and they're actually called hands of ginger when you get a large piece of ginger. It is actually called hands, not necessarily pieces. When choosing ginger, what we have, main things I look for is the thinner the skin, the better, and also you want to try to avoid more of the dried out skin or sort of wrinkles on there. Okay, if it's wrinkled or dried out in any way, really don't buy it because a lot of the flavor has been depleted from age. This is a really nice piece of ginger here. Now next with garlic. Now choosing organic garlic is an easy one. Just avoid the sprouts. Okay, this is basically probably the oldest one in this batch here, and a lot of people who have a difficult time digesting garlic, it's usually because of sprouted garlic. A lot of people tend to use their sprouted garlic. Easy way to avoid that, you can just slice open each clove and kind of take out the little green spout if you have a little overgrown garlic. A nice way to prepare this in advance to be a little prepared when it comes to making dinners and so forth. You can mince it up, finely mince it up. Same with ginger, you mince it up, or you can with a knife or with a food processor. And you can toss it in a small container, and you can seal it with a little bit of olive oil on there. And what that does, it acts as a preservative, so it'll keep a longer, I'd say anywhere from 7 to 10 days in the fridge. Maybe go olive oil? Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about pineapple also.
You wrap an avocado in newspaper, right? Do you hear that? Oh yeah, it's so good. Get a hard avocado.
Oh yeah, newspaper or brown bag.
Or brown bag, and you want it.
What it does, yeah, the fumes of it ripening basically ripens it right up. Same thing with bananas. Yeah. All right, here we are in the tropical fruit area. A couple of my favorite fruits. We obviously have some bananas, some avocados, some mangoes, some pineapples. I'll show you the best way to choose them. Okay, so when it comes to avocados, avocados is one of those fruits that aren't really, if any, sprayed at all. So it's all right to actually substitute a little non-organic avocado if you can't find organic. I can't taste the difference. When choosing an avocado, you wanna try and choose one that is darker in color when it comes to a Hass avocado. that will the skin will give a little bit, and that's the perfect ripeness. You don't want it to be too soft, or else it could be bad. When it comes to bananas, obviously, when they start having small black spots on there. Mangoes also, same thing with avocado. You want the skin to give a little bit. Now, if you were to get some really unripe avocados or unripe bananas, unripe mangoes, those really off-gas a lot when it comes to during the ripening process. So the easiest way to ripen them is actually, you can, like if I had a couple avocados that weren't ripe and I'm doing a dinner in a couple days, I would wrap them in a paper bag or newspaper of some sort. And what the off-gassing does, it basically softens up the avocados a lot quicker than if they were to just be in the sun, okay, or out on the counter. Now, when it comes to choosing some pineapples, now these pineapples right here, nice organic pineapples, these are unripe pineapples. Now, a lot of the time, people think that just the color of the pineapple is the best way to choose it. Now, with pineapples, a nice way to choose it is when you get that sweet smell. Then the pineapple is definitely ripe. Another way to tell is if you were to just gently pull the top parts of the leaf off, and if they pop out really quick, then it's also ripe. So those are two good tips in choosing pineapples. All right, now when incorporating some young greens or nice delicate greens into your diet, now what we have here, we have a mesclun mix, which is really nice. Now, mesclun isn't necessarily the type of lettuce, it's basically a combination. Mesclun can be so many different varieties. It's also called spring mix. What we have in here, we have some young oak leaf lettuce. We have some frisee. There's some radicchio there also. Also sometimes some baby spinach, some really young romaine that can also be in a mesclun or a spring mix. Yeah. Right, another essential ingredient to use in the raw foods kitchen is definitely seaweed, sea vegetables. What we have here, we have a number of varieties of sea vegetables. We have a couple forms of nori. Now let me show you a little trick when choosing nori. Okay, now nori is basically crushed seaweed, and that's what they use for maki rolls or Japanese sushi rolls. Okay, so what we have here, we have two different types of nori here, same company, and the easiest way to tell raw nori from cooked nori is if you hold it up to the light and see and notice it being green. That's been toasted. Now the raw nori is purple in the light, so that's a good way in choosing some raw nori. Next, what we have here, we have a couple varieties of sea vegetables that I really like to use. One in particular is hijiki and also arame. And the easiest way to use these, if you just soak them in water anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, and they really fluff up, and it's really nice to use in salads. Shave a little bit of carrot or shave a little daikon in there, some sesame seeds, a little shoyu or tamari, and squeeze a lime, and you got a great salad, great seaweed salad. Now, dulse, also really wonderful sea vegetable to incorporate into salads, or you can just eat it on its own. One of my favorite little snacks is I'll take some dulse and some ripe avocado and just eat those together, and it's a really nice combination there. So seaweed is definitely essential in the raw diet. Let's head over to the olive oils and see what we can find. Yeah, come on over. Now, olive oil and fats is one of the most essential components with raw food cuisine, I feel. And when choosing a good olive oil, I mean, if you go to a conventional store or even other parts of this market, you'll see a wall of olive oil. Now, a couple things that I really look for when choosing a good olive oil, 4 things in particular. I look for organic. Organic is necessary because non-organic olives are pretty much sprayed pretty heavily there, unless they're imported, you know. A lot of imports also don't spray. But 4 things that I look for, one in particular, organic. 2 is stone crushed. Another one could be extra virgin. And another really good plus is unfiltered, which is really nice. But 2 particular olive oils, two regions of olive oils, like a Provençal olive oil from Provence, has more of like the grassy flavor, whereas more of an Italian or Spanish olive oil is more robust and a lot more deeper flavor in there, not so light. So another one here we have, this is a nice one to use also, is grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil is a really difficult one to get organic, but if you're making an infused oil, it actually has pretty much no flavor. So I would use either a cheaper olive oil or a grapeseed oil if you're going to make an infused herb oil. So this one's organic. This is first cold press, which is really nice. Then you move over to here, and you can see, again, this is some organic. And then this one's actually an unfiltered olive oil, so it has a deeper, richer flavor. Extra virgin, yeah. And all of them are basically extra virgin. Most good olive oils are extra virgin. When storing olive oil, it's nice to, when you're choosing an olive oil also, is to get the darker bottle. Now you can see all these olive oils up here, for the most part, are darker bottles. And you want to keep them out of direct sunlight. You can store them in the, just in the cupboard or on the shelf, wherever the direct sunlight isn't hitting them. But you can notice like a lot of good olive oils have darker bottles, so the sun won't penetrate through the oil and create any rancidity there. So, and also what we have a macadamia nut oil. Actually, I haven't used this brand before, but it's a good sign that it's also in a dark bottle. So. All right, when choosing vinegars, I prefer using apple cider vinegar. Now, Bragg's is usually one of my favorites. It's an organic apple cider vinegar. It's pretty much the only raw vinegar that's out there, with the exception of red wine and white wine vinegar. Another plus about the apple cider vinegar, it contains malic acid, not acetic acid, where it's where it's more alkalizing to the body when you use it. So it's essential with the raw foods diet. It's absolutely delicious though. Pumpkin seed oil is great.
What do you do, like drizzle it on
Yeah,
something?
I mean,
just for flavor?
just on a
and
salad,
the
yeah.
same with the